pay taxes on their money. My clients have a loss from real estate that they then use to offset their other income. My clients, when they buy a good property and then they refi the cash out of the deal, there's no tax on that. When you sell your property and you don't want to pay tax on the sale, you can roll that over into an exchange and pay no tax then. And then my favorite one is what I call lifestyle expenses. This is a typical example, and I've seen this type example in this room many, many, many times. Just look in a perfect house, probably retail in the 80s somewhere, you buy it in the 60s somewhere. This is a very typical example here. Actually, I'm probably on the low side. Typical house around here in Memphis should be earning $200 to $300 a month. Would everybody agree with that? If it's not, you got a problem. This house is going to throw off depreciation, which we're going to talk about in a second, that you can deduct. So I'm going to lose $200 and something from this house. This is what's going in my pocket back, the depreciation to it. Has anyone had that conversation with your banker? You know what I'm talking about? Now, most of them are the bankers. I see we've got a few in this room, so they'll be excluded. Don't have a clue what they're doing. They don't know that they are supposed to add back depreciation to your income. So what will happen is we'll have, say you've got 50 properties and you're making $2 grand a year. You're going to make $100,000 cash flow, but I'm going to lose $150,000 for tax purposes. But I'm going to be making positive cash for the bank. You have your cake, eat it too. No taxes on your cash flow. You've got a loss that you can then deduct against your other income. And then thirdly, your banker is happy as a clown because you're making lots of money. This is a simple, and it's getting apparently, they don't let them in the fancy hotels. Max is a 125-pound yellow Labrador, and he's in my office. And then some of you have met Glock before. Does anybody know who Glock is? Okay, he sits by my side, and then his close friend is usually on my wife's small of her back, Mr. Sig.
Providing other services, and then Glock and Sig is protecting their security.
Sure, that's right. But does that mean everybody can deduct their dog?
No.
No. Max went with us when we had all our properties, everything we showed. Mr. Glock was licensed. He was pulled several times with miscreants. You can deduct it. Look at some of these. You lose money on it, which if you're my client, you will lose money on it. I can assure you of that. We'll make sure you do. You don't get a deduction. Okay? It's the general rule. There are exceptions, like there are to anything. Number one, if you are between $100,000 and $150,000, $150,000 is when it caps out the family income. You can take up to $25,000 of loss. And you just be a regular guy, no problems. However, if you're a real estate professional, a real estate professional does not mean that you're a real estate agent. It doesn't mean that you're a real estate investor. It means nothing except these three numbers right here. Okay? Well, two numbers. The first one is, if you're a real estate professional, this is like the holy grail. Any of you guys that are dating a girl and she's like this model and she's just wonderful, you need to know her. You need to go get you a homely real estate agent and marry her quickly because she's a real estate professional. And all these lawsuits come with her. Here's the rules. You got to spend 750 hours real estate. 750 hours. Number two, over half of your total work hours have to be real estate. So if you're a regular guy out there and you've got a day job at FedEx and you're doing this on the side, you're working 2,000 hours a year, you've got to work 2,001 hours in real estate before it's deductible. Can you do that? It's tough. Real tough. But what if you take my advice and get rid of the supermodel and marry the homely real estate agent? Do you qualify? You don't? No, trick question. You don't? She does. She does. this is what you do, okay? I didn't qualify as a real estate professional. How about your house?
230.
Now, how much dollars should you lose on every house? 820 cash, how much should you lose on that?
230.
230.
Now, that was your cash flow. You're losing about $5,000 for tax purposes. We had 163 houses. I want you to do the math real quick. 163 times 5,000. What's that come out to? $800,000. The digits get a little crazy for a while. Therefore, Judy has $800,000 loss. And guess who doesn't pay taxes on the CPA firm? Do you see how it's working? These losses over here net up with us. You see what I'm saying? There's a couple. If you think about this, it works. Where's my banker? There's my banker. Okay? Now, did I have large losses on my tax return? Yes, large losses. Right? But I didn't pay my loans, right? True story. The child would owe about $1,000 in tax. Daddy saved $5,000 for writing some checks. Tennessee LLC tax. This is what we were talking about a little while ago, about how you can avoid having tax. And this is what you want to avoid here. If you have a $100,000 house, you're having to pay essentially a state property tax of 4.25%. It's $250. You think no big deal? Okay, now you got 10 of them. That's $2,500 you're paying every year for no reason whatsoever. You make it one deal at a time. A lot of y'all in here are starting to think about, you're seeing retirement, and you're saying, how am I going to get there? And you start doing incredibly stupid things, taking a risk that you shouldn't be taking, doing things that you shouldn't be doing, and do it slowly. Judy and I started out with 3 houses because a client, at that time, the biggest home builder in town, was bankrupt. And we had no intention of being in the real estate business. No intention at all. And you couldn't sell the houses, so, ooh, you're a real estate. That's a wonderful feeling to do that. That's the dream everybody wants them to do for their families. And don't listen to the folks who are telling you can't do it. They think they've got it cushy with this 401k and a group medical policy, making $60,000, but they're one restructuring away, and then they're a 52-year-old guy trying to find a job. Tough. This is the business to make money in, not pay taxes.
I wouldn't suggest that everybody design their own website, but I was cheap and I did it on my own. But it did preview our homes. Not only did I take fantastic pictures of the homes that we had, but I also previewed the things that were coming up. I not only showed people what we had, but I showed them what we were getting and what was coming up. Because if we didn't have what somebody wanted at that moment, they could still plan on me having it in 2 weeks. So that was very important. But I took extravagantly great pictures for them to see every house, every room in the home, and what they would see once they got out on site. I also explained on our website how our program worked. Our tenants, or our potential tenants, didn't have a question at all that was not answered on our website. When I would meet them on site, they had that piece of paper with them, and what I told them was on that piece of paper. They knew I was an honest person and that they could do business with me because they knew that I stood behind what my product was. The other things that were on the website was basically who we were, where we were located, and that type of thing. But it was a very good website. Another thing that really I thought was a good product was we had a really large street sign. A lot of people, if you go by their houses, they have this very small sign, or they have a very inferior product that's like on a window or something like that you really don't know that the house is for rent. We didn't do that. We spent a lot of money, but we had a really large sign. It was bold, it was big, and it was to the point. People saw our signs, they knew who we were. People knew that we were a presence, and the was we would mail out to our tenants that, you know, if you referred someone to us, then we would give you $500 off of your next month's rent if the person that you referred to us leased up with us. That's just something that we liked. And finally, as all of you well know, your house selection is key. One of the things is be an expert in your neighborhood. A lot of you may lease or buy houses all over the Shelby County, I don't know, but I would recommend if you're a small investor, pick an area, figure out the area that you're going to be an expert in, know the houses, know how much they rent for, know your competitors, know how they fix up their houses. Buy ugly houses. I'm not saying buy houses that are ugly, but buy houses that don't need a lot of work. If you're inexperienced, you don't have to know a lot about how to fix up a house, but clean it up, paint it up, and fix it up.